Okay, we had fun with the mouse. Let's take a look at how to get some other data into Macs. We're going to use a video game controller today. I really recommend doing this wired. I found the Bluetooth personally to be kind of unreliable. Does not matter what type of controller. It could be a PS4, it could be a Xbox, it doesn't matter. But the way to get them in is the same. That said, the mappings will be completely different. So I'm going to create a new object called HI. This is the human interface or gaming device. If I open up the help file, it tells me there's a lot of different things. There's different device info that it will put out. There's menu, which generates a list of menu options into a U menu based on what's there. My wireless controller is wireless controller, although it's actually plugged in. There's the event queue, there's polling, all sorts of stuff. So let's create a patch that makes use of this, and then we can use that to have some fun. Before I do anything else, I'm going to create that U menu. I'm going to connect the right outlet of HI to that, and then I'm going to connect the left outlet of U menu back to HI. Next, I'm going to create a load mess menu so that when the patch loads, it will automatically send this message menu to HI, which will generate the list of devices that are currently attached to my computer. I'm going to select wireless controller, and you'll see HI is focusing on wireless controller. Cool. So now what I need to do is to take a look at this in terms of polling. So I'm going to send a couple of messages here. I'm going to create a message of poll 10. Oh, with a space. Duplicate that. And this is going to be poll 0. And those will connect to HI, and that will output whatever it's receiving from my controller. Now, because I'm thinking ahead, I'm going to use a toggle, a little bit bigger than average, that is hooked up to a select 1 and 0 as a user interface for those poll messages. So this will automatically select which one I want. And then last but not least, I am going to create a message that I'm going to hook up here, which will give me the output of what HI is pulling from my controller. Okay, so it's sending a lot of stuff out of this channel 121, which I'm not pressing any buttons, and it's still outputting. I believe that might be gyroscope or accelerometer, but I don't want to deal with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to filter that out. And this is something you'll probably notice with HI is that occasionally you get these values you don't want. So we're going to take route 121, and then that's going to dump it out if it matches 121, and everything else is going to come out. I don't care about that one. So there we go. Oh, hey. There's my A button. B, X, Y. All right. Up, down, left, right. Analog left, analog right. Right analog, left analog. Trigger, trigger. Select start. Cool. So now what I can do is I can use route to send those to different things. And I'm going to show you that really quick. I'm just going to use the D-pad and the buttons. I'm not going to use the analog triggers or the analog sticks because those tend to have some really gnarly ranges. So what I'm going to want to do is to create a comment list. This is going to be up, down, left, right. Then let's do, how about B, A, Y, X, because of course this is Nintendo style. And finally select and start. Now, each of these is going to send me a pair of values. It's going to send me a value that I can use to route, and it's going to send me an on-off state. So let's try up. Up sends me a value of 120 and 0. And when I release it, it goes back to 8. So let's do up equals 120 and 0. Down is 120 and 4, and when I release, it goes back to 120 and 8. Left, 120 and 6, and then when I release, it goes to 120 and 8. And right, I'm willing to bet, is going to be either 2 or 10. And it's 120 and 2. So it's nice to know that it has a return state that when I release anything on the D-pad, it goes to 120 and 8. So I'm going to write that down. D-pad release 120 and 8. Why would I want to know that? Because I might want to have something trigger when I release a button. And for the D-pad, it's all the same, so that's good to know. Next one, let's do button B. 103 and 1, 103, 0. So 103, 1 when it's down, and then 0 is release. A is 104 and 1, and 104 and 0. Y, 102 and 1. Seems like all of these, the value when they're going on is going to be 1, and the off value is going to be 0. I like stuff like that, where it's nice and thematic. And X is 105, 1, and 0. Okay, then we've got select 110, 1 and 0. Can't open a parentheses. And start, I'm guessing, will probably be 111. Yep. 1, 1, and 1 for on, 0 for off. So this gives me a list of every single button for just the D-pad and the BA-YX buttons, plus select and start. You'll notice that they do have release values. The D-pad release value is 1 for everything, and select and start and BA-YX are always going to be a 0 value. Now, your mileage will vary. It will totally depend on what controller you're using. Right now I'm using the 8bit.do SN30 Pro Plus. It's a Nintendo Switch wireless controller, and that's working pretty well for me because it's got really nice analog triggers that I use for sound manipulation. But you plug in a PlayStation controller, it will be different. You plug in an Xbox controller, it will be different. You plug in a Mad Catz controller, it will be different. You plug in a Logitech or a Gravis or whoever, it will be different. So you have to do this and know exactly what the values are. Here's the part you're going to hate. It is 100% different when you're on PC. So the values that you get here on a Mac will be totally different. And that is really important to know, that these are Mac values only, or PC values if you're doing this on a PC. I've already mapped this out on a PC, and I know that my left is value of 32 is the controller, and the value is 27,000. Right is 32 and 9,000. Up is 0 is 32 and 0, and down is 32 and 18,000. Whereas I've got completely different values for all the buttons. They range from 54 to 55 for select and start, and then 48 through 53 for the other buttons. And they all have values of 128 or 0. So they're closer to MIDI numbers. So very, very different stuff. But let's put this into something we can use. And this is just going to be a demonstration right now. So what I'm going to do is, I don't care about that Route 121 because that's just being used to filter stuff out. I'm going to take the output of that. I'm going to create another route, and I'm going to do this in order. So up is 120. Down is going to also be 120. So I only need to do this once. So I've got 4 120s. I've got any repeating values I only need to do once, because then I can do some selecting after that. So 120, followed by the buttons will be 103, 104, 102, and 105. Then 110 and 111, and I should probably put a space between 105 and 110. Now, as I said, take a look at the D-pad values. They're all 120, but they have different values. So what I'm going to do is create a select 0 for up, 4 for down, 6 for left, 2 for right, and connect that to the output of if the output matches 120. Now, I only want these to trigger when the values that come out are positive. So I'm going to create select 1. I'm going to use this for everything else. So we'll do select 1. Select 1. And I got 2 more to do. Okay, now I just want this to print the values so that I can see what they are, but right now it's just going to give me bangs, so I need to have some messages. So let's do message up. So that is if the value matches 0. So 120 coming from route. If it matches 0, up. Down. Then the next one's going to be left if it's 6. And last but not least, right. And keep in mind there's going to be one extra outlet on select for if the input does not match. So we'll move those out of the way. Now over here, we're going to create a message. The next one was B if it equals 103. So that's B. And if it's 1, meaning it's been hit, then the next one will be A. Next will be Y, followed by X, followed by select, followed by start. I'm going to have all of these go to a print, and with print I'm going to use the attribute pop up 1, which this means I don't have to see everything that's on the screen. It's just going to pop up and say, hey, here's what you did with that. So let's connect all of these up. And then I'm going to connect this up to the output of that Route 121, which again, this is just a filter out gyro or Excel data on my specific controller. So that, again, your mileage may vary. But now if I hit up, down, left, right, BA, YX, select. I'm not getting anything from select. Oh, hey, that's why. Take a look at my cable. It's connected to the wrong outlet. So let's grab that, or to the wrong inlet. So let's grab that. There's select, and there's start. So what are the reasons why I would want to do this? Well, it's complicated and it's messy, but one of the things you will be looking at in class is a piece that I created doing exactly this. And that one is a bit of a big download, but this is called Learn to Play. And check this guy out. After it loads. Okay, so wireless controller, Mac, blah, blah, blah. Yes, start transcribing. Oh, let's try the different version. That one might not. I'm going to do the Dropbox version because I know that one works. There we go. So I'm pressing the different buttons on the controller, and it's using those to generate a score in real time here for the performers who are going to play it. If we open up the patcher, you can see that I've got a lookup table here, which is just taking the different values for PC and Mac, and then correlating and creating these different values that will be used to output different durations and pitches from these collections. And there are quite a few of these collections because they get loaded up dynamically on the fly. So we'll be dissecting that in class. It's going to be something you will have a lot of fun with.